here we are going live. Concept I wanted to try with by reading a book, a Indian author book that is by the Joy that Our Impossible Love. DD as autographed book. A first chapter here says Aisha Paul. For an average adolescent, I was 5 years late in getting my period. And when I finally got it, I created a scene from a slaughterhouse in the bathroom. I howled. I knew my mother would miss her dying daughter helps in the Blair from the Shrilly mothers-in-law in her favorite soap, Kahani. Now into its 11th year, ma switch off the TV. I am dying. Blood was trickling down my thighs. The pain felt as if I had given birth to a 16-wheel trailer. I had pulled out the last tissue from the box and dabbed the blood off my thighs. And the bathroom still looked like a slaughterhouse. I felt every bit like an injured Rambo quartering hoons, except I was moving and got grunting. Ma, your daughter is dying like right now. Finally, I heard the title track play out. My mother was a complete sucker for the show. But thankfully, she would heard me and came running to the were you calling me? She asked sweetly. I could imagine her pressing her ear to the bathroom door. God, yes, she's a sweet woman, like Mother Teresa. She knocked on the door perfect. I have locked it from the inside. I scampered to the door on tiptoes like Bambi around the little pools of my blood as if there were toxic waste. I opened the door. What words ran dry. My mother looked around the bathroom like the hair had been kicked out of her, but then she smiled. Aisha, Amar Bacha. She shouted and she pulled me close, enveloping me in her arms, blood and all. Cried in joy. I knew Dr. Roy's medicine will work. She was crying now. Even as I doubled up in a pain in her arms, I imagined this is what it would have been like when I was born. Bloody, disgusting, painful, and joyous. That's if I'm not adopted like my brother once claimed I was. Are you in pain? She asked. Okay, Aisha, nothing to be scared of. She made me sit and clean me up without once crunching up her nose. In fact, she smiled throughout it all while I was like, can't I just die instead? Once done, she gave me a medicine for the pain. She taught me like how she had taught me many other things before to use, not knowing that I would practice wearing one quiet few times. In fact, I had once wore it to the school for an entire week in the hope of invoking the god of peace. You are a woman now, said my mother, looking at my reflection in the mirror, peering to see if anything had changed me since a few minutes back and made me more women like. Quite ironical because puberty was still coming at me from all corners of the rings, hitting me with whiteheads, acne, and weight gain in the strangest of places. And then she started to cry and cried with her. Our tear glands are hardwired. She cries, I cry. It was a big day for her, and I thought it would be a big day for me as well. After all, I had been waiting for this day since I was 12. The first of my friends, Mega got her period, then for the next few months till someone else got it. She was supposedly superior and more grown up than her prepubescent friends. But now that finally I got my period, I didn't feel much different. If I were to say this to 14-year old Aisha, who was obsessed about getting her period and spent over 5,000 hours reading about PCOS, who was variant I suffered from, she would have smacked my face. How can I split blood make me a woman? Outside, my mother was crying into the phone to dad while lighting incense sticks and murmuring little prayers from time to time. Over the past 5 years, the problem of my delayed period had been troubling them emotionally and financially. At last count, I had visited 12 specialists, some of whom charged a limbo for advising us to wait patiently. A few had prescribed medicines which were rather discomforting, but I did everything without so much as a word of complaint, even though I saw through their deception. My parents were stressed out, and I could not add to their anxiety by being a rebel. Later that night, we went out to celebrate my becoming a woman. My dad couldn't join us because, like always, he was in a city different from where his family was. He worked in a nationalized bank and took every transfer that came his way, sometimes for a raise as low as rupees 200 a day. That seemingly measly extra 4,200 a month went a long way to provide relief to our exhausting circumstances. My dad's sacrifice game on a scale of 0 to 10 was Jesus. I loved him, though not as much as I loved mom because she was goddamn fairy, but I loved enough and in the way fathers and daughters love each. A little on the shy side, I never jumped up and sat on his lap like I did with my mom, nor but he would forego food for a month if it meant a new uniform for me or my brother. Sarthak and I were both scholarship students. We skimped on lunches, wore worn out clothes, but there were never too much to go around. 4 more years we used to tell ourselves every time we killed a desire, I will buy you everything. I used to tell my mother, buy everything you need first. My mom would answer a little guilty at how much her medical bills cost the family. So the celebration. The restaurant was clearly beyond our means, but thank God it was a buffet and we had with us a human vacuum cleaner of food. My 19-year-old brother Sarthak is only a year older and really quiet. He went to a boarding school once. I think that did it. Made him serious and broody and ripped. Initially, we would also move with each dad's transfers, which made both my brother and me lose a couple of school years, which in turn made us the oldest in our classes. So Sarthak 1918 was literally the oldest guy in our school. Thank you, he said to me while loading his plate with potions, traveling a UN food aid package to Kenya. What I find innocence because that's what we do as a siblings. Discussions around period, lingerie, and was out of bounds. And congratulations, he said. Why was he talking to me? Of all times, he found to be a supportive big brother. If you need anything, let me know, he said. Stop talking to me. I nodded and walked as far away from him as possible. If had taken me 3 months to teach my mother how to use Skype, she had used this recent know how to surprise him. Dad was on the table as well, watching us eat. I think he was crying. I didn't look at him because I would have cried too. We cry a lot as a family, my brother excluded, who just stares into his books and reads. And so we celebrated, because now I was like all the other girls and I could have kids when I grew older. All this when I had just about started to like being different, the girl with a faulty uterus suffering from something unpronounceable as primary amenorrhea. But now I'm just another girl. My mother hugged me to sleep that night, and more times on my back than any of my would ever. I'm sure I'm smiled in my dreams.